Welcome to AFS220 Wildlife and Fisheries. We're looking at the first topic, the status of fisheries in Nigeria. And we look at the fish and the fish resources, their constraint, and their management strategy. Come with me to class as we go for these studies. My name is Dr. Olumate Samuel, your facilitator. We're going to enjoy this class as we interact on that subject. Okay, so welcome back to class. We'll be looking at this subject matter, as I mentioned to you earlier, the present status of fisheries in Nigeria. My name is Dr. Olumate Samuel. That's my email address. So, okay. The intended learning outcome, which is the objective, this to evaluate the present status of aquaculture in Nigeria, to identify the major constraints of fisheries resources, and to be able to describe the management procedure of these fishery resources so we can attain maximum, sustainable yield. By way of introduction, I'm looking at the fully exploited and fully fished fisheries environment in the world. It's been said that 60% of the world fisheries has been fully fished. And so the fishery potentials has been reached already. Okay, and the very bad one is that 33% of the world fisheries are overfished completely. They have been overexploited, so the fishery potential has been exceeded, which is, like I said, it's very state. It's not good for our economy, the world economy. That's why the demand for fish is still very high, and we've not been able to meet in such areas, particularly, we've not been able to reach the maximum sustainable yield is not sustainable. And 7% of the world fisheries actually are still sustainable, meaning that they have not been reached at all. They have not been harvested. So it's only very 7%, and it's not very good. We need to increase this by the management procedure I'll be suggesting to us later. However, looking at Nigerian fisheries particularly, we are only allowed to fish within the 200 nautical mile, and our fisheries activity exists in this latitude force extended to 1352 knots, and longitude 2°42', extended to 14° to 37 east. Also, I'd like to mention that aquaculture is still very important to bridging the demand gap. So it's good to understand that. And as we go along, we will see the different aspects of aquaculture and how we can take advantage of this. Looking at Nigerian fishery production subsector generally, we have two categories of such. We have the artisanal, the artisanal fisheries, and also have the aquaculture, artisanal fish sector and the industrial under the artisanal fish, under the capture fishery subsector, which is about 60% of Nigerian fish production subsector. Okay, so then we look at aquaculture, which is about 34%. Okay, but within the capture fishery subsector, we have the artisanal fisheries, we have the industrial. And artisanal fishery is still, the backbone of fisheries subsector in Nigeria because of the low capital outlay. We can use our local fish implements to capture those fishes. Then, of course, we can operate them in our coastal water, in our freshwater, riverside, in our communities, and our brackish water in the lagoon and coastal areas. We can either use the mechanized or non-mechanized fish farming, completely. So, but the industrial sector, which we have not actually taken advantage of in this country. Maybe because like the characteristics that we can see here, there are high capital outlay on the vessel, the cold storage, the advanced technology that is required. But having said all of this, it's actually major foreign exchange generation means if we can take advantage of this particular sector. And of course, we have the exclusive zone that is just, that has been high-marked not to encroach the 2-mile non-toiling zone, which is practically exclusive. And about looking at the freshwater aspect of it is 58%, and the marine culture 36%, which is the two subs dimension in the aquaculture. However, we have two that we generally operate in the aquaculture in this our climate, Nigeria, precisely. We have the simple pond, we have the arty pond, the concrete tank, the rubber tanks, and and all of that, which is quite simple, which most of our farmers are currently doing now. But the other aspect is the high intensive system. We call it recirculatory aquaculture system. That one is quite intensive and very expensive because of the problem we have with power in this in Nigeria. We may not be able to go into all of that, but there are a few individuals who are taking advantage of that. That formed part of my master's research. I was looking at the comparative studies of the pond system and the recirculatory system. I discovered that it's quite expensive. However, it's good for the juvenile and the fingerling production because the turnover is quite very high. And if you create a market for it, you are able to make a sustainable business venture and you make profit. But however, like I said, the pond system, the earthen for the concrete tank is still largely used in Nigeria. Okay, and talking about the fish species, really, that is cultured in Nigeria, we have about 199 culturable fish species that's span through the 39 families. We'll be going into all of that in detail in other topics. And talking about the shellfish family, we only have about 9 culturable shellfish. Later we'll be looking at them in other topics. But within our continental shelf area, we have quite a very, very large area to do fisheries business, where we have find our various, all of these fishes are found in this our continental shelf area, which is about 251,100 kilometers square. That's huge. That's huge. That's very huge. We'll be looking at those details and the species found in them much later in other topics. However, I want to look at this class activity. Why has Nigerian capture production not attained 100%? If we have this continental shelf and this number of culturable species in our environment. So I'd like you to attempt this and get back to me. My email has been provided. Please send me an email. We'll also be looking at discussion forum later. All of these things will be posted on our discussion forum so we can interact and come up with reasons that is beyond, that's even in literature, that you think has not allowed us to attain this 100% capture fishery production. Now, these are the major fishery resources that we have. Okay, about 5 of them: the shrimp, the pelagic fish, the offshore pelagic. We also have the fauna resource of the equatorial zone, and we also have the fauna north and south zone. And these are the important species that you can find in them. Specifically, the shrimp. We have 2 species of the shrimp, the bonga fish, and many of them are all in all of these resources. And these are the distribution, the depth and where you can actually find all of these fishery resources. Now, we come down to the constraint that has not allowed us to satisfy the demand for this fish. Like we said, the gap is quite much. I think it's about 1.56 metric tons, that is actually required. That's why Nigeria has to go, and import fish, at least to bring down this demand gap, that exists. But the reason is just these 7 main constraints that we currently have. Poaching is a very, 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 very big constraint. There are many vessels that are not even registered with oceanography, and yet they fish in water, and they go and capture fish that are not illegally, really. Of course, that's why illegal shipment of fish exists here as well. The low per capita income of our fisher folks, is a major contributing factor. They are not able to invest in vessels that can reach, the deeper waters within the 200 nautical mile. And of course, we need to also come up with policy that can help expand our national jurisdiction beyond the 200 nautical mile, with the international bodies that expand jurisdiction. Well, we all know we have not actually taken advantage of all of this, what we already have, but it's good to expand so that our trawlers can advance into a deeper water level. The challenge, one of the big challenge in our water body, especially the rivers and the lagoon, is the use of traditional fishing method. Okay, and this is not pleasant at all. We also embark in crude method. This involves use of chemical that is hazardous to the water body, the ecosystem entirely, wipe out many organisms that even the fish themselves will need to feed and grow. And finally, which is not the least, is a high operational cost. The cost of fish input are quite very high. The exchange rate are going up every day. And to be able to combat all of this, we need credible management procedure, okay? And this is targeted towards attaining what we call maximum sustainable yield. That is what yield, what harvest you will get, such that the water can produce fish for multiple generations, many years to come. So that's what we look at, not just the present fish we can get from the water body. So in achieving that, we must limit the size of our vessels that come to our water body. We must establish a minimum cord length mesh size such that the fishes that are captured are actually mature, probably from 1.5 or maybe 800 grams to 4 kg and all of that. So we must also allow our fishing vessel to be licensed. Unlicensed fishing vessel, just go into the water body and does everything they want to do, and thereby leading to depletion of the fish. And we must also restrict certain areas of our coastal water, that this area is left for rejuvenation. And so once we achieved all of that, we can be sure that we will arrive at sustainable yield of our fish. Then we must prohibit the trawlers from coming to certain water body. And finally, we have closed season, where we just close, say the next 9 months, no fishing activity must take place in particular water. And it is quite monitored very well, such that there will be rejuvenation of our ecosystem so that we can achieve our objective. We'll be coming to the second aspect of our class activity. We're saying that to what extent do you think that resolving this major constraint and implementing this management procedure can assist in increasing the supply of fish to a teeming Nigerian population? So just think about it. To what extent? So that may require you some little thinking, and just put a percentage to it in your own opinion. We'll be coming to look at it together later in our discussion class. I want to thank you for listening. There are many other aspects we are going to be engaged in as we meet in other topic of AFS 220 aquaculture and fishery. Thank you for listening. Attempt all of those class activity and get back to me on the email to you. I want to thank you for listening. Bye-bye for now.